Well, hello my friends, Alfredo here, back at the shop, where this channel belongs to be. And I have some good news for you guys who, as soon as I post a video, jump on it, watch it, and comment. Thank you. So, in return, what I want to do for you guys, at least for a 1, maybe 2 week period, which is the point that if I have ads and they're going to help me with my channel it's at that point, because that's when the majority of the views come in. And if I was going to make any money on my channel, that would be the time. Well, my channel is not for making money, although I must say it helps sometimes. It helps buying an occasional tool. It helps maintain the shop expenses to some extent. So what I'm going to do is, from now on with my postings, I will not monetize my videos during the first 2 weeks. So basically you go on and you watch my videos without any interruptions of ads. I know you don't need to see the ads, and I know that it's not make it or break it deal that I'm getting so much money that I don't know what to do with this. The only thing I don't know what to do with it is at the end of the year, as little as it is, I have to report it to the IRS and still pay taxes on it. So either way, this is not a complaint, but I'm going to tell you about it. On my website, www.rebelturner.com, can't get any easier than that, I'm going to put up a support me button. There's no minimum, there's no monthly, there's no nothing. You feel like you want to help me out on the channel and support me? That's your decision. The videos will still be here for you, regardless whether if you decide you want to donate $1, $2, or whatever for the cause or not. It doesn't really matter. So for those of you that are watching regardless, thank you, and I hope you continue to watch. Well, I'm staring at a piece of wood that I'm actually excited to get onto it. But I have some changes also going on for future. So many of you say, Al, why don't you put resin on this? Why don't you put resin on that? Oh, colored epoxy would look so nice. And I know that is true to all the facts. But my channel is not about you going out and having to spend. There are very few things that I have in my shop all the time that I happen to have. And you would have to have it to do even what I do. For instance, I use a lot of CA glue. I use CA glue, but with sawdust that's readily available. But you can use readily available products. You can use coffee grounds. You can use cheap Walmart stuff. You can use glitter. You can use the sky is the limit on what you can use to do your fillers. But anyway, I have behind me a box, and it's probably not going to be incorporated on this one, but it will in the very near future. And I will open this up because I just finished the project yesterday and I got home. It was fairly late, so I didn't have a chance to come out here. But today, yeah, I got a chance to come out here. So I decided to buy some 2-part epoxy. And I will be using this in the very near future with some fillers. Actually, the reason why I bought that is because I had been buying the 2-part epoxy at Home Depot or Lowe's that come in I don't know what size bottle that is, but maybe a 6 or an 8 uh, ounce bottle, and I would squeeze the 2-part. It's just a 5-minute or 15-minute epoxy, and I've used that a couple of times. Well, I can't find it anymore at Home Depot, only the syringes with a pre-mixed 2-part. Well, for any type of bulk work, that's really not sufficient. It will do if you have little cracks to fill up and you want to do something like that. Yeah, you can. You don't have to buy the gallon stuff of the 2-part. You can go to Home Depot, buy a 5-minute epoxy, mix it up with some mix on it, put it in your cracks or your voids or whatever, and it will always be amazing. You'll always get good results. So with that, it will allow me maybe to make some stuff that I've been intrigued by what other people have done, and not so much as fillers, but as an alternative to turning wood. So we'll see what comes up out of that. But with that, I decided, all right, since I'm shopping and spending money, which I really don't care too much to do, I also ordered a solid packet of different color diamond dust. Red, blue, teal, black, blue, yellow, orange, and white, I believe. So I'll be mixing some of this stuff with some epoxy, depending on what this situation is. Who knows? I might even be mixing some of this in I don't know the word. I'm sorry. Some non-traditional ways. We'll see what my crazy mind decides for me to, or how I'm going to be using it on occasion. But for now, my friend, and my deepest apologies, I'm calling him my friend, and yet I am so bad with names that I forget my own kids' names. I would call all my kids by different names except their very own. I would call the oldest, the youngest, the youngest, the oldest, the middle, So I'm terrible with names till this day. Somebody will introduce themselves to me and say, "Hi, I'm Greg." "Hi, Greg," for 5 minutes. And 10 minutes later, he's no longer Greg. It's like, "Charlie, how you?" And it's not his name. So I have this bad thing. But anyway, my friend who came from Phoenix, Arizona, specifically to meet up with me. Well, okay, back up, Al. Yeah, you're not that famous. All right, he was down in Cape Coral, which is about an hour and a half away from me, but made a special trip to come and pay me a visit and bring me some woods. He had mentioned that he had some woods. He wanted to meet up with me. He wanted to bring them to me, and he brought me some beautiful stuff. He brought me the mesquite, which I had never had the pleasure. Retract again. You know, trees should come with labels. That way I don't misinform you. And when I do misinform you, it's not intentional. It's a matter of not being informed myself. Mesquite. I said, I've never turned it. I never had the pleasure. And that is very wrong, because I was mislabeling some wood that was obviously mesquite. Some of the most beautiful pieces that I have turned. The platter that I left very natural, that was a gift from the deceased neighbor, wood turner, who was not around to tell me what it was. The family said, come up and clean up all the wood, whether if it's garbage or not. We want it all gone, and you save whatever you want. So I did that, and with that I got these slabs, 14, 16 inches wide, wormy, non-wormy, you name it, and I was mislabeling them as mahogany. And they weren't mahogany. Apparently after turning mesquite, that came specifically labeled to me, and I realized the characteristics of it and the color of the sapwood, it was obviously that I had been turning mesquite, and I still have some in a shop, and I still have some outside. But anyway, he brought me the mesquite, he brought some eucalyptus, and he brought me some pieces that he thought maybe were Cuban mahogany. The Cuban mahogany was mislabeled. It was definitely not Cuban mahogany because I know what mahogany looks like. I might confuse something else for mahogany, but I don't confuse mahogany as a different species. But anyway, he brought me some huge pieces that there's no way for me to get them onto the lathe. They're too big of a diameter, so I can't even turn them on end. Weight probably 30-40 pounds, which is more than what my lathe can handle. My bandsaw has had a mishap a couple of weeks ago where I lost the tire on the wheel, and I got to replace that. Chainsaw had given up on me. Well, I bought a replacement chainsaw, and with a little bit of chain and with a little bit of a struggle, I was able to split the log that you're about to see. And I can tell you, this is going to be an amazing, amazing piece for the grain that I see. And it's not a crotch. It doesn't have to always be something that you see and you say, oh my God, this is going to have so much interest. You can get just a plain blank log, cut it up, and find amazing stuff in it that was created by Mother Nature and not us. So our job is only to expose it and not create it. And I hope that's where I come in, is just to expose the beauty and show what's the maximum that that piece will have to offer you. Let's get started. It's enough rambling. And I know you guys are probably getting pretty tired of my yak, 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 yak. But, you know, that's me. I've never been really able to shut up, even when I need to. Well, this is my channel, and my channel means that I am who I am. And if you like it, with 21,000 subscribers, I mean, some of you might like the way I am. Some of you might not. But it didn't matter whether if I was quiet or not quiet. Some of you still might not like me anyway. So, anyway, for those of you that do like my talking and my rambling and all that stuff, thank you. Let's jump in on this one. It's huge. It's big. And I don't know right off the bat if it actually will fit on my lathe. And why am I so excited about this? I'm excited about this, even though this is a chainsaw cut and a lot of this is going to change, but I love the variation of the coloring that I see going through here. Streaks. I know some of these marks will disappear because they're not part of the wood, and I love the gradient going up into the sapwood. It does have quite a bit of checking already on the piece, so I might resort to a little bit of a filler on this. I don't know. I don't know, because I don't like planning and altering what I'm getting out of the piece. Just protect it and make it to what I like. And hopefully you like it too. Anyway, this piece is going to be a straight edge, not a natural edge. I'm going to mount it on the spur drive, pretty close to center. I'll get to the center based on weight and balance when I put it on, and start throwing it up from the backside. And this should give me a beautiful, beautiful bowl that will be at least 10 inches diameter. So, spur drive, I've had some discussion about choices of spur drive, and if you're buying one, if you're in the market for one, and you have the option between this type of a spur drive and this type of a spur drive, and if what you do is large stuff, like the stuff that I do, this is the type of spur drive that will give you a good grip. What happens on this one is it's a push pin, so it has its advantages for other turning, but not for this. Is that when you are pushed in, these teeth make the grip, and there's plenty of them, but they are razor sharp and almost like a saw. So any grab or any tension you have, it's very easy for this to cut into the wood that you're turning, and it bottoms out just 1/8 of an inch down. So as soon as it bottoms down, no longer the teeth are making contact, you're just inside of a groove. and the piece will just spin in there like a top. This, on the other hand, you can keep putting pressure because you could keep burying this and there will always be teeth to make contact with your wood. So that's my opinion of this. Some people disagree. Some people say, oh, I have great luck with mines, and that is fine. And you know, and that's why different strokes for different folks. Isn't that what they say? So I don't get into arguments on what really works better and not work better. And seeing that I'm not one to endorse spending money on any one thing or any particular name brand, I'm just giving you my honest opinion of how I feel about certain things. Anyway, the way I'm going to mount it is, first of all, center with the spur drive, or at least pretty close to center. Now this wood, I've been talking about the wood, and this might actually be eucalyptus, but this eucalyptus is very different from eucalyptus I have turned from my area in the past. I have turned some beautiful eucalyptus pieces. And since I had those three woods that he brought me, eucalyptus, the mislabeled mahogany, and the mesquite, which I already have turned some, this has to be the eucalyptus. At least for now, anyway. By the time I'm done, maybe it's not. I am not an expert on wood species, but I can consider myself to be somewhat of an expert on working on the wood and doing what, or at least exposing the best that a piece of wood might have to offer. So I want to offset the back. I think I'm pretty close to the center on the spur drive. So bringing this up, or just tilting it, should balance it off quite a bit better. And by balancing it off, it also makes this side truer. It's hitting the banjo, so I got to give a little bit of room to push my tailstock further back to give me room for the banjo to clear up the wood. Now I'll see how close it is. So that's a little bit heavy on that side, no doubt about it. And I'll see, what do I want to do? I'll swing it out a little bit and flatten it up on the back side a little bit. Okay. Adjust until you feel that it is in fact the best way you're going to get it. Okay. And this piece is very oddly cut, so it will always be off balance. So you will definitely need a variable speed. And you will need to control this at the slowest speed possible. A piece of this size, this weight, I would never be able to start this off at 700 RPMs right off the bat. Period. This lathe would bounce all over the shop, even though it's bolted to the floor. It would bounce. It would be very hard to get clean cuts, controlled cuts, because it would be bouncing so much, and it would be very dangerous. And the danger factors, when you do things that exceeds your lathe's capabilities, that's where the danger gets multiplied. So there's danger regardless around us, but don't make that danger a prominent accident to happen. Who knows? I might leave all this rambling on this video. When I look at or watching my videos, my edited videos, and if I go through spurs of time that I'm not explaining what's going on, I somewhat feel like I'm jipping you. So, again, for those of you that like my rambling, there you go. Those of you who like my silence, you can always find a few of them in there that I'm somewhat muted and not doing so much talking. Speed on this. See, when I have the late stop, I really don't know what speed I have it on, although I can tell how many hertz out of 100% or out of 60 hertz I'm at. So I turn it so low that the late might not even run. Okay, but right off the bat, I would say, damn, that's a good speed for this, which is 420 RPM. My Hurricane, typical bull gouge, going here, handle way down, keep a good control, and go from the middle outwards. Now, even going at this speed, if you were to say, Al, how long is it going to take you to get this down to where it's already round? Why aren't you cutting it up further on a bandsaw? It's because I like to maintain as much as I can and see what points I'm grabbing it, and if I need to make a little shift to still maintain the rest of the wood, I will do so rather than chewing it up. Now, if your lathe does not go that slow, you will do better by putting this on a circle cutting jig and cutting a perfect circle to start off with, and you'll be better off with that. So, of course, use whatever tools, whatever arsenal you have in your possession to make it a safe turning. I think I missed the point. So anyway, it will take me about 20 minutes to get this cut around the outside edge into a point that I'm going to start working on a tendon and stuff of that sort. And don't forget, at first, when you start, you have to be away from your tool rest. But as soon as you start making some cuts, you are able to go in there closer. And keep your tool rest as close as you can. I'm going to switch out to my Carlin Son, and Now, unfortunately, with turning stuff of this sort, you're really not designing on the fly. The only thing that I'm going to be designing is what shape is the outside, and of course the inside, or how deep the piece is. And it's a pretty thick piece, so it's going to be a fairly deep bowl, which will serve as a perfect fruit bowl to be displayed on anybody's dining room table or kitchen counter. So I'm gonna keep it going. Increasing the speed, it's rattling a little bit, but 520 RPM to see if I can get through this stuff a little quicker. That's going to be pretty, even on the white sapwood, which will come up all the way on the outside edges of this. Okay, I took a little break from this. It's a pretty good size bowl for sure, and the wood grain is going to be pretty nice on this. I'm going to see if I can actually maintain a little bit of this bark, if it will stay clean enough to enhance it, but I am not sure. By the time I get up here and here, I might be losing it, but I'm going to see. You always have to look at what you're doing and how the piece is being balanced off. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not. So I have enough going on with it between just the sapwood and the hardwood, which will be here and some here. So we'll have to see what goes on once I get a little bit further in. But at this point, it's a continuing of just going in here slowly and chipping away at it. My lathe does not have the power that I wish it did to be able to put enough force on this piece in a safe method but that would do some heavy duty gouges. As soon as I put a little bit of pressure, I can stall the lathe. And that's the drawback that I've been facing with on this lathe. So someday I might do an upgrade, not because I need an upgrade, but because I'm turning things that are way bigger than this lathe was ever designed for. But anyway, let's continue where we were. Yes, it's shaking a little bit. I'll get that down pretty quickly. It's not going anywhere now. Sometimes I will resort to this finer point gouge regardless of which one I'm using, whether it's this one or the Hurricane, because I'm not taking quite as much with the pass, and it allows me a little bit easier cut than I do with a blunt cut. Flip this over, put it on my tendon so I can get a little bit more, a better grip on this. Flying off is not the problem or scaring me in any way, because at the speed that this is going, even if it flew off, would not be putting me in any harm's way, because during the roughing you're never in front of the lathe, or you should never be in front of the lathe. regardless of what I want to do with this checking at the end, as far as whether if I want to fill it or not fill it, I need to stabilize it. Needs to keep it together. And keeping it together is CA. So whatever points I make in contact, and you apply CA, then those pieces are going to stay in contact. It's not going to keep opening up on you. I really think that this one, I want to put a turquoise coloring as my filler. This bark on this end and this very little bit over here is going to look really amazing, and it will off balance what I got going on here with the sapwood, heartwood, and the bark areas. It will just balance the piece really, really nicely. Bark, generally I saturate it, even though it's a little early on. I could wait for later on, but I generally saturate any bark I have with CA, and that way it just it enhances it and it makes the cutting a lot easier. It won't flake up on you, and it definitely will not separate on you. So if you got some sawdust that you want to put in there to assist you holding it together, and I don't have an issue with sawdust, so you know, even though I just said I was going to put turquoise on this, it depends how much I might not like this. Generally, I like this finish. It will still look like there's something in there. It will not be camouflaging it as a hidden artifact. If anything, it will just enhance it, but a subtle enhancement rather than making too loud of a statement on what something like, again, I'm not knocking it, guys, ladies, but it doesn't necessarily to make a loud statement to look good. And if the piece has enough going on with it, on the wood grain and all that stuff, you usually don't need anything to distract your eye away from its natural beauty into a wow factor of a little piece on the end. So you have to play that carefully. It can work for you, but it can also work against you. It depends. And generally, it all depends is on the beholder's eye. Just because one person, well, many people, not just one, but just because one group of people like it one way does not mean that there isn't as large of a group that are in agreement with what I do. I'm just going to make a goal on this. I'm not going to make any type of a sentiment. Well, this is early in the morning and I'm back in the shop when it's actually a little bit cool. I've been over here yesterday a couple of times, but like 120 degrees in this hot tin box. So I decided, alright, I have a window AC unit which really is not big enough or sufficient enough to cool it off, but I figured that if it can get the temperature down 5-10 degrees in here, it's worthwhile me putting it in. So I got an AC unit that's I took off once I remodeled the shop, and it's still there. So I'm gonna put it right on this window that's over here closest to my, I'm going to put it right on that window right there. Right there. Yep, that's where it's going. So just remove the screen and get it in place, and hopefully I can tolerate being in here for a little bit longer than I have been. Well, the AC is running. It seems to be a little bit better here, but there will be a fan noise going on in here. I apologize, and I will see what I can do about that noise. I've lubricated, got the fan moving freely. Got the fan moving freely, but it's got a little wobble on it, I guess. So it's always going to give me that noise until it clears out. I don't know. But this piece, I think, before I take it all off, even though that's what I was aiming at, because I wanted a good sized bowl, and it would be a good sized bowl. Maybe 12-inch diameter, I'm not sure. Alright, 11 inches diameter. And the bowl is 4 inches deep. But before taking it all off and saying, okay, it's a bowl, I want to play with the idea that maybe I will keep this as a potpourri box. Lots of checking going on the inside of this. And I really like the wood grain. And if I go all the way inside, that's going to be the end of it. That's just what it's going to show me. And this way, by doing this as a potpourri box, I get this inner rim, I got this nice flare coming up through here, showing off again more wood grain, and then on the inside again. So it will give me multiple surfaces to be explored and to be looked at, and not just a bowl. Now on this piece, I did say how I picked up the acrylic or the resin. I think I want to put something special on this one, so stick around.